Why do many people think Bush did it? I saw theories of how the towers collapsed and went straight down. But weren't they built SMD designed that way? Also, the owner took out an insurance policy right before, but wasn't that building attacked before? And people use his reaction against him. I thought it was very professional. Staying calm for the kids without working everyone up. Also, how would the entire administration spend so long coming up with an entire plan and not one person has ever leaked anything? My favorite trope is how secret teams wired the WTC with explosives. If GWB was powerful enough to get away with using non-union electricians in NYC, he wins. I don't think anyone can do that. When you lie about the reasons for going to war, people are going to throw all kinds of accusations at you because the truth is unknown. I like the South Park explanation. Bush didn't do it, but it takes a genius to pull off a conspiracy so vast. And Bush wanted people to think he's smart, so he started the Bush did it theory. I have had a lot of conversations with people that believe all the conspiracy theories on Reddit. It is really sad because they are so gullible and believe everything they hear if it supports their position. I would rather talk to the people that believe in Bigfoot. I think in life people search for something to be passionate about and something to know the truth about. Everyone wants to believe they're seeing the unique truth, and so they're uniquely intelligent, and whatever group they're in, we should be listening to them a little more closely than when the average person talks. So we search for things to know about. Like some people will say, oh, don't buy that car, or you do know why they do that. Right? It's something that makes them uniquely qualified to do stuff. He was in front of a bunch of kids. Was he supposed to jump up looking scared as hell? I'm not getting into conspiracy theories, just that I think he handled himself appropriately, considering the audience he was in front of. Now, if this OP was talking about later in the ensuing days, I have nothing to add. Well, they want to be superior. But he didn't. Maybe he could have prevented it, but he didn't. People hate randomness. They often don't want to admit that a small amount of people can completely change the world with just one action. It's the same reason they need to apply a conspiracy to the JFK assassination. I personally don't think Bush did it. I think it's more like Bush was waiting for it to happen. It's well known that he, and so many other oil men, wanted a hand in Mideast oil. And the idea that there was a group of people within the government he headed engineering an excuse to invade a country and take that oil doesn't seem far-fetched to me. You notice that we didn't go to war with Arabia, even though the presumed hijacker group was Arabian. Same reason a lot of people are anti-vaxxers, think Trump won, and believe in Pizzagate. Dumb wackos who glom onto conspiracy theories abound. I would not go so far as to say Bush did it. Rather, Bush knew, but did not stop it. Because people are stupid. I think the conspiracy should more so be that Cheney did 9/11. We all know Bush let Cheney run the show, possibly some input from Sr. Yes. The planned demolition conspiracy theory has been debunked so many times it's reached flat earther levels of incredulity, as have all the other ridiculous conspiracy theories around the whole thing. And yes, the WTC had been attacked a few years before. Insurance policies are necessities for any structure and are maintained on an annual basis at all times. This is like proving a group of people are crab people because they drank water. Building 7. Bush family are good friends in Saudi. Bush's Pentagon lost $1 trillion the day before. I actually spoke to someone in the field of conspiracy about this one. For the most part he believes it is a meme, a joke, But for the people who take it seriously, it is likely that they latched onto the fact that Bush used 9/11 as a semi-misdirect to rationalize war with Iraq and Saddam Hussein, when the attack was actually carried out by Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda. Bush was sort of obsessed with Saddam, and he used the grief and shock of 9/11 to usher in 20 years of war with the Middle East. From there, conspiracy theorists can easily conclude that perhaps Bush planned the whole thing just to declare war on Iraq. People think presidents have more power than they actually do. His administration used the tragedy as grounds for baseless invasions to gain oil, power, and currency domination, and also to roll out draconian surveillance bills that set the stage for where we're at today. It could have just been capitalizing on disaster, or it could have been provoked as a means to an end. But I sincerely doubt that he personally did it. When Bush I invaded Iraq, it didn't go well. After 9/11, it was clear we were going to invade Afghanistan in payback, as that's where the Taliban was based. But then we pivoted to invading Iraq for reasons. A lot of people felt Bush too was getting revenge for his dad's failed invasion of Iraq years earlier. The most common conspiracy theory I've heard is not that Bush too facilitated 9/11, but that his administration learned of the attacks ahead of time and chose not to stop them. Bush didn't do it. Bush Jr. didn't do it. JFK's head did that all on its own. I do not believe the Bush administration planned 9/11. I definitely believe it wouldn't have happened if he wasn't president. Because whether he did it or not, he sure had a plan to use it for political gain and making his buddies rich. Several members of his cabinet were on the project for a new American century, which called for a new Pearl Harbor so America could invade Iraq. And then a new Pearl Harbor just fell into his lap. Airline stocks were also shorted prior to the attack. Why did Building 7 fall? Bin Laden was a CIA asset in the 80s. I don't necessarily think Bush did it, but I think there's more to it than some terrorists wanted to inflict pain and suffering on the U.S. Basically because the average person is a moron who lacks the ability to apply the smell test to bizarre theories. A basic understanding of human nature reveals the simple fact that conspiracies involving more than one person always fall apart on evidence, not theories. People can't keep a secret. The Bush family is an oil family. This is 100 about oil and the securing of said resources. AALLL of the dumbass reasons given to the public to enter the Mid-East to secure those assets weren't being bought by the US public. Up until 9/11. Then this convenient thing happened and everyone was on board. I have no evidence, but it's really that simple. Whatever you do, do not look up the last names for everybody that called out that day. I literally remember thinking to myself, well, at least there can't be any conspiracy theories about this. Everything happened live on camera. People saw it with their own eyes. Case closed. Oh, how naive I was. Many people are clearly mad. Oil. Here we meaning America has huge economic ties with the Saudis. I read that he arranged safe passage for numerous high-ranking Saudis to leave this country after the event. That raised red flags for many since most of hijackers were from there. Just an observation. In all likelihood, the building owners probably had multiple insurance policies being renewed all the time. Coverage, policy terms, and premiums were probably being updated very frequently. Also, policies against specific events probably varied more than things like fire, thus calling for separate policies. Probably, there were few months where there weren't new or updated insurance policies.